I was under Supplier, and it was very rough, and it took forever to be okay with it and just to be like, okay, this is my route, you know?
We are taught, or we're told, that at a certain age our kids need to hit certain milestones, and it does apply a lot of pressure on moms and parents, and it does make you feel like, oh my goodness, her daughter can do that, my son can't do that. Is he falling, like, is there something wrong with him? I'm not saying this to be sexist, but men have a different burden. Men have a different thought in their head. They have the stress of finances, the stress of making sure that they're gonna be okay with, taking care of you, the stress that you're not happy, the stress that this is okay, like, is she upset? Like, there's a lot of different things that they go through that we're like, no, that's not important, because we're just so inside of ourselves that when we're able to remove that and we're able to let go of the resentment and let go of the thoughts of like how I need to be heard because I'm going through a lot more, when we are really able to say, okay, pause, we're both going through different things. I can't say mine is more or less than yours. Then we meet in the middle, right? And then that's where you can kind of overcome some stuff with your partner.
Hi mama, you're doing amazing. I know the challenges of navigating through postpartum life, and I'm here to be a village in a world where the village is often missing. My name is Elo, and I'm the host of the New Mom in Town, the Postpartum Podcast. On this episode, we have momtrepreneur Natalia spill the tea on her best practices she uses on her toddler and managing tantrums, and how she keeps the spark alive with her fiance. Let's get into it. Your pregnancy. Was that planned? Was it not planned? It was in the middle of kind of like COVID-ish.
So, good question. No, it was not planned. I met my fiance Mo like maybe 10 years ago at a pool party. And I'd been in a relationship. He'd been doing his own thing here in LA. And when I moved back, we kind of just like rekindled friendship and then slowly like started dating a little bit. And then, COVID happened. We call it the stuck with you era because we were stuck to each other. And in the midst of all that stuckness, a baby formed. A little bird flew with the, I'm just kidding.
It was a stork.
A stork. The bird. It's a stork. Yeah, the stork came. And Adrius was not planned, but it was a very pleasant and a happy surprise. And it just kind of like rippled from there. We moved in together and we went through the journey of pregnancy together and got to know one another at a very quick rate. Like, oh, your favorite color is blue. Oh, guess what? Now I'm having a baby. I got to learn how to breastfeed, all the things. And it just went super fast. Everything about us has been super not traditional in a sense. And that's how it all happened.
God always has a plan for everybody, and that was your plan that he had. So you did postpartum by yourself? Did you have family, village? How was it with your in-laws? Like, how did all that go?
Yeah, good question too. Because everyone, you go into pregnancy thinking like, okay, this is what we're naturally supposed to do. We're moms, we're women. We know we're gonna have babies. We think like, I don't know about anyone else, but from my experience, I was like, I have the milk bags for storage, I have the pumps, I have the hakas, I got all these things from like for the nursery, I bought the snoo, I got all these things prepared and I was just so excited. We painted a room, we did all of these things to prepare us for our son. And well, after, you have the baby, they're like, here you go, check the car seat, boom, on your way, off you go. Then we get to our house and we're like, now what? Where's my button? Because in the hospital they give you a button so you can call the nurse. Where's my button? There's no button. It's like the reality of life. Like, you have this baby. So without getting into too much of a tangent, we didn't really have a village. It was just Mo and I, our village. A couple of our friends, of course, supported us and would drop off certain things. My dad visited when the time was like right for him to come and see my son. But it was really a strengthening time, I think, for Mo and I. It's like, I have to pump ounces of milk. I need to make sure my son's latching on, and I need to make sure I'm eating right so that I can produce the milk. And then I have to put it in bags if I need to save it for later. But why would I save it for later? It's not enough. Like, it was crazy. Breastfeeding was a really, really tough time for me.
How long did you breastfeed for?
I'm really proud to say that I did it for 3 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
No, any time is amazing. And even if you don't, you don't. But 3 months is a long time.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, to get into the breastfeeding a little bit more, I had like a really bad situation with my breast implants, and I ended up removing them. So I took out my implants, and I said, you know what, this is not for me. Not only did you ruin the most magical time of my life, but I'm just not the person who has implants anymore. I don't relate to that person anymore. So back to that, I would sit with a pump, and I tried every single setting, and just the sound of it, like sounded like the intro to a scary movie, where like, you know, when they're like running through the forest and someone's chasing them and you're just, there's the panting and then the sound. That's what I felt. Yeah. Every single time I pressed that button. And all that effort just to get 2 tiny ounces of milk.
That part.
You know how it feels? Yeah, you relate?
Yeah. I was under Supplier, and it was very rough, and it took forever to be okay with it, and just to be like, okay, this is my route, you know? That's what I had to go for. But yeah, I hated the sound. I understand what you mean, but I would start thinking of like a beat. So I would do music with that freaking beat, especially like each pump was like a different sound. So like after another, like ADHD was definitely kicking in. So yeah.
That's so funny. You made a whole like rap song. Yeah. Yeah, no. And you know what was really challenging at that point too with breastfeeding? Just like that own those self-negative thoughts that you have, because you're like, I can't do this, I can't do it, but I don't want to not do it. I have to do it. And then social media played a massive part as to why I was so depressed during that time, because you'd hear like, breast is best, don't stop, you're not going to bond with your kid if you don't do it right, like you got to keep going, it gets easier. It's like, hello, it's been 2 months of me torturing myself and it has not gotten easier. And then you have your partner who's trying to support you, but they're doing what they think is the right thing to do. But you have these postpartum demons in your head telling you he's being mean or he's not being supportive, or you're creating all these stories when really in their mind and in their perspective, or at least in my situation, he was like in sports, you know, so just being like, you got this, you could do it. And in my mind, I'm hearing, no, I can't. Stop telling me I can't. Stop telling me I can. So we got through that crazy phase when he and I finally were like, this isn't it. Formula is perfect. Yeah. We found a perfect formula. But it was very saddening at the time when you go to their first doctor's appointment and your son's not hitting the weight that they need to hit. And you're like, man, did I do something wrong? Am I cut out for this? This is the hardest thing I've ever done. So the transition to the formula was probably one of the best things we could have done. And it ended up working out. My son is now 3 years old and he's 42 pounds.
There you go. Amen. Yeah, I feel like that's a thing. Like there's like mom guilt and just feeling like, was I not good enough? Or why was I not able to produce more? And then like, do I really want to give him formula that has like all this, whatever. Again, social media and whatever's going on. But then at the end of the day, once I kind of surrendered and came to the conclusion that, listen, a fed baby is the best way to go.
Fed is best.
Yeah. So
love that.
I get it. So now that was before, now you are a toddler mom.
I know.
How was that transition? Like, would you say the newborn was harder than now?
You know, I think there's a different word I would use. Newborn stage wasn't necessarily harder. It was challenging because I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Even though I thought I was so prepared, I really, there is no amount of preparation that you can do to be prepared for a baby. I mean, it's good to know the things that you need to know, but it's not until you actually have to do them or practice them that you're like, oh my goodness, I probably didn't really know fully what I needed to learn. But you learn by doing it, right? So as much preparation that you can have is great. I'm not saying not to do that, but just know that you're not fully prepared until you come across that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So newborn was challenging. Toddler is, man, what is the word? This is where I wish I had a lot more words in my vocabulary, because I'm like, it's not hard. It's not challenging. It's just
a different beast.
A lot of work. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I mean, they're just these kids that are evolving, figuring out like the world, you know. It's such a beautiful place. If you think about it, I wish I could go back and remember all that. Like the colors, the tastes, the smells, all the processes of life, like the little tiniest things, like, oh, I push this button, that turns on. There's all these things that are happening in their brain. So they're so curious and so active. You just got to be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lean into it when you can. Even though you have 9 million things going on in the world, lean into the curiosity, the energy. Even if you're tired, push through, because these days are numbered. Like this age is numbered. You know, you're never reliving it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. So I know you are just a genius, but we already know that. You came up with Toddlertivities. Did I say this right?
Toddlertivities, yep.
And I think it's the most genius thing ever. I can't wait for my turn so that I can just be like, what am I going to do today? Oh, I don't need to think about it because she already has a little thing going on for me. I'm just going to download it and there you go. So what made you think of putting that out, and how did you come up with those ideas to even do with him? Like your living room, I understand that your house right now is a whole big playhouse, and I get it. I'm going to be there too because I love everything. It's like you have a little school in your house.
Yep.
What made you do that?
Yeah. So since Edrius was born, like since he started kind of picking up like the different milestones that were taught that they need to be hitting, sometimes he was getting a little bit like, maybe I felt like he was falling behind, and then I was like, what am I doing? Why am I creating all of these like stories that he needs to be doing this? He needs to be saying 2 words. He needs to be able to stack blocks. We are taught, or we're told that at a certain age, our kids need to hit certain milestones. And it does apply a lot of pressure on moms and parents, and it does make you feel like, oh my goodness, her daughter can do that. My son can't do that. Is he falling? Like, is there something wrong with him? It instills this weird kind of like anxiety in me. It did to me, at least. And I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm just gonna go at my pace and at our pace. And Edrius started to really want to paint. He loved painting. Literally, like, would pick up something and just paint. So I thought, okay, we don't really use our dining room table. You know, we eat when we eat. I eat standing up. I'll eat on the couch. I'll eat wherever I can, really. So let me just sell it. I sold it. Facebook Marketplace. It was gone in a day. And I bought literally desks, easels, storage units, storage bins, started putting all his stuff downstairs, turned that into a little mini school for him. I don't want to call it Montessori because I'm not sure that it's fully Montessori. It's just kind of like what it is. And I started creating these little worksheets for him. The moment he could pick up a paintbrush, then I was like, okay, well, if you could hold the paintbrush, maybe you can hold a marker. So dry erase markers that are clean, you know, not crazy. Yeah. I'm not gonna stain his hand or give him any kind of weirdness. So he would just kind of like pick up the marker and start tracing. And he got really into it. Then I started developing different worksheets on Canva and printing them and putting them in little plastic wraps. And then I'm like, here, you could reuse this a few times instead of me wasting paper.
Right.
Just wipe it off. And then he started to learn how to wipe it off and do it again. Then he started to learn how to wipe the table and clean the table whenever he would make a mess. And I started just keep continuously growing his room with like sensory bins. And everyone would message me like, hey, is that messy? Are you scared it's gonna get dirty? No, I just told him, don't get it out of the bin, keep it in the bin. And then he started to remember anytime there was a little bit of sand outside of the bin, he'd scoop it right back in. So it really just kind of helped him develop himself and learn on his own. And now he can pour water and like stack things and color and stay inside of lines and draw an A. Like, how is that possible? It's just letting him do it. And by showing him, he mimics what I do. If I do it up, down, across, he does it. And it's working for us, so I'm gonna keep doing it. You know, Anyway, back to the Toddlertivities. I went on a ramble.
No, that's so helpful because not only are you teaching him to, develop and evolve things for himself, but you're teaching him just everyday things where, if something is out of its place, like put it back or wipe or clean. Those are such important things to know, I think, at a young age, because most of the time, even in school, I didn't learn that in school. My parents taught me that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's very helpful.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like sometimes we put so much weight on ourselves to get them to learn, but really they're just sponges right now. And if we teach them these things now, these are the early childhood development moments of our lives. Like, we're never going to get these back. So let's not put so much stress, and let's just show them the everyday activities. And so back to Toddlertivities, I was making the worksheets, and I was like, does anybody want these? Because I'm making them already. It's a PDF, just download it. And a lot of mommies signed in the Instagram box their little email, and I just developed like a massive email list of mommies and just started sending them out. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what, maybe I can sell some, because it did take a lot of time.
Of
course. And it might have been a nice way to make some passive income. Even though a lot of them are free, I started putting a little price tag on them. And before you knew it, I was selling like 200, 300. And I'm like, wow, like, thank you guys. Like, this validates that what I'm doing is great for my son, but also now you guys get to do it with your kids. And it just gave me so much joy. Like, not even like on any other, just, I love it. I love it. Like, it makes me so happy when people post it and tag it. And because it's like, okay, it's proven. I can spend $59.99 a month on an app that they can use their fingers to trace things, or I can print it out and just give it to them old school. And it worked.
I love that you said the old school, doing it old school, because that is very true. Now everything is just so much iPad, TV, phone, that kind of hinders them from learning old school way.
Mm-hmm. And I won't even go as far as saying that I don't like because look, if I'm out at a restaurant and my son's with me and he's acting a little crazy and I need to calm him down so I can finish my meal, I'm going to give him his little tablet. But the games on the tablet are educational. Mm-hmm. So there's like Lego games where you can stack the numbers in order, and they taught him how to like literally pick up the block, put it on, then put it in order. And so there's games like that you can use. I'm totally not like against it. Sometimes I'll be like, here, you could look at my phone, whatever. But it's just not relying on that to educate him that I'm like, let's just get a piece of paper out, you know?
Absolutely, and it's not, we're not mom shaming. I don't mean it in any other way. It's just, I get it. Life is busy, and sometimes I'm just like, how am I going to continue with this? And it's like, how am I going to just sit here and teach him 24/7 if I'm already tired now and he's not a toddler, but he's a pretend toddler? So I get it, whoever is using TV or iPads, but I'm more like on kind of like on your side with that. I think education wise, and for him to grasp things, I feel like it's important for him to see the paper, the pencil and things. Cleaning, I think, is so important. He loves when I vacuum. So I can't wait for him to start walking so I can get him a little baby vacuum. I think, listen, laundry, even though he makes a mess out of it, I let him do it. I'm like, just get used to what you're seeing here, because you're going to be doing this soon too.
Yeah. Teach him how to fold.
Yeah.
Yep. Edris puts all his clothes in his laundry. He just shoves it in there, and I'm like, good job, push the play button, and that's the start button, and he does that. I loved doing that stuff with him. It's just, you know, those little, what are those called? The little walker benches where you stand by the sink. It's kind of like a standard. Yeah. I got that for him way too soon, because I was all like 10 years ahead of him. But it actually ended up being okay, because he's so used to it now. He moves it. He's like, I'm going to wash my hands, mommy. Okay.
How adorable.
It's crazy. It's crazy how fast it goes, and it's also crazy how like long it has taken. You know what I mean?
Yes. So what would you say is like best practices for a mom who's about to be a toddler mom asking for a friend?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say that I have like a specific thing advice. There's going to be moments where the tantrums come in, and they're not easy to deal with. Like, sometimes I have to like really, even just today, he threw a massive tantrum, and I went like this, looked up, and I'm like, okay. And he looked over, and he's like, Mommy, are you okay? And I'm like, Yes, babe. I'm okay. But it's hard. You're going to want to close the closet door and just shut yourself in there. Because well, my son screams when he cries. His cries are scream piercing. I'm like, how do you have those lungs, boy? But he's screaming and crying and then throwing themselves on the floor and then all that. You're like, oh my goodness, this is the end. I don't know what I'm going to do. But you got to give yourself a little grace and patience. Give them patience because they don't know how to monitor their emotions. Mm-hmm. You have to manage yours. So every day, all I can say is manage your emotions because what you do, they're going to do. They're going to pick that up. And this is not a happy thing. I'm not really happy about this, but it's something that I want to share because it's so crazy how much of sponges they are. We have a doggy, right? We have two. One, wow. We have two, Georgie and Kobe. Georgie and Kobe will bark at the mailman, at the trash truck, and sometimes, they'll do bad things. They're dogs. And I've said, bad, Georgie, bad, room, go to your room. You know what Edrius is doing now whenever I'm doing something he doesn't like?
No.
He says, bad, mommy. Yeah. And he screams it at me, mommy, bad, mommy. No. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh my gosh.
So a little thing for any mommies listening, careful how you reprimand your doggies around your kids because they will now do that to you or they might, and it is hard to reverse that.
Yeah, because I feel like we do that with our dog too. So
Luna, no.
No, or like stop, and now it's like I can't say it to him. He's gonna think I'm either talking to the dog or he's gonna tell me to stop one day. Like, no.
It's crazy.
Oh, see? Maybe we shouldn't have a kid and a dog.
Well, I would say just, no, you gotta keep your little cute puppy.
No, of course. I'm saying like in the future.
Right. I think that they work really well together. It's just for me, like, I gotta watch how I reprimand them or how I what is that reprimand? It's
Discipline?
Discipline, thank you. I can't speak English today. I have to watch how I discipline them and also how you speak to your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if he senses that I'm remotely annoyed or mad or even raising my voice at Mo, he says, bad daddy, which could then fuel the fire a little more. And then I got my fiance looking at me like,
yeah, going into that.
Yeah.
So now that you're postpartum 3 years, and being, we can talk about in the beginning and then how it is now because the wedding bells are ringing. How was that? Postpartum, being in this basically new relationship and having a child and figuring everything out. And then, how's it going now?
Yeah, so relationship-wise, I think it's such a wild thing to juggle all of it. So to paint the picture, you have mom or a woman transitioning into mom, all these new feelings, all these new hormones, that word, all these new emotions, all these new thoughts. When I was in my postpartum stage, I went through massive depression, anxiety, and rage. Mm-hmm. I drank a lot. I'm not proud to say that, but I immediately just felt like drinking was like the way that it's going to solve my problems. I'm going to have a glass of wine, then that turns to two, then that starts turning into sad thoughts and just drowning in this weird rage and depression because of this hormone shift in your body. And now I really always thank my fiance for helping me navigate through that time because I didn't know what was really going on. It was just my body's way of reacting to the crazy shift. I mean, I'm a small girl. I carried a very big child in my belly. All these pains and all that happened, and it was a really rough time. So I'm really grateful that Mo and I were able to get through all that because postpartum depression is no joke.
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And the depression can look different for everybody. So it's not just like postpartum depression, that's what it is. You're depressed in bed and, drinking or not drinking. It's so many different, angles of that.
Yeah, and a person once told me that they knew I was depressed because of my toxic positivity. Yeah, how I was posting on social media, as real as I am, I definitely didn't want people to think that I was not okay. So I would post about the the baby blues and the crying spells. There would be times where I would just be super sad and I didn't know why, and my eyes would just start crying and I would just be bawling and I didn't know what was going on. So I did talk about that a lot, but I did not fully come out and share that I was going through depression because I just felt like there were so many people that watched my stories and I didn't want anybody to worry. But again, that's you not putting yourself first, right? So I did share a little bit about that later on. But, you know, back to the picture, mom now dealing with all these crazy things. Now, number one priority is baby. Number one priority is baby's fed, baby's washed, baby's happy, baby's not crying, baby's sleeping, sleep training, sleep schedules, food schedules, at the time pumping, bottles, feedings. There's all these things that come into play that it's like very little amount of time for fiance. Very little. The only chance that I ever had to really be one-on-one with Mo was when we were in bed. And at that point, maybe 2 or 3 words would be exchanged and we would go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because we were so exhausted. It did change when Edris turned like 1.5. We started prioritizing movie Mondays. So our nanny would get there at like 10 and we would do a day movie. Just break out, go watch a movie, have some one-on-one, and then get back home and get back to work, right? That was actually something that was really fun for us for a while. And then life, and then we got off of that routine. Trying to do like escape rooms. That worked for a little bit, and then life.
Besides that, yeah, I was gonna ask you, are you interested in another baby now that you basically, in you know, to me, in my eyes, and I'm sure in your eyes too, like you've perfected it, you found your way, you know what I mean? Perfect to you and to your son. You know, how open are you to having another one now?
Right, so if you would have asked me this question like last year, I would have been like, hard no. Absolutely not. No shot in hell. Nope. And then now I'm kind of like, not even like, it's selflessly, I want Edris to have a little sibling. You know, like I feel like it would be so sweet for him to teach his brother or sister something and like have that relationship that siblings have, you know? I think that I want that for him. So I'm like teetering on like, yes. How hard is that for me to say, huh? Like,
very hard. It just makes me happy. I'm like, okay, cool. I feel like I'm gonna get there too one day.
You will.
Yeah, it's just for now, I think I just want to enjoy him while I'm not, like I'm still in flight or fright because it's like an everyday same thing and it's just adding on, but not as much as it was before. So I feel like I just want to enjoy this time and learn more about myself, about my relationship and him before I can put in the universe that I want another baby, because I do want to enjoy the newborn stage next time around. Because the first time around, I don't remember the first, 6 to 8 weeks. So it was rough. And I get it for any first time mom, maybe even second or third, but I'm hoping with the second time it'll be a little easier.
Yeah, no, I put that out there for you if you ever decide to go down that path. I think that the first couple weeks are just such a blur. It's just like, if you ask, like, I don't know if you do this, but you're into 10 months, but you could still probably go back a little bit. On my phone, I like look at videos of Edris when he was a newborn, and I'm like, I don't remember that.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember holding him. Or like I watch videos lately, I've been looking at videos and pictures of like breastfeeding and I would like record his sounds. I don't remember that. It's crazy.
It is, and it's common. So thank God we're not alone on that one, because you're just so consumed in that moment. It's not retained in the brain anywhere. It's just like that moment is there and you're doing that. And then thank God we have videos of all of that.
Literally, thank
Right?
God. Yeah. Because now it's like the way my mom will like take care of Zayden, of my son. Sometimes she'll say things like, she's so cute because she's seeing me and him, and it's so cute when she does, and I don't stop her. In reality, like I just want to cry because I think it's so cute, but that's what it is, you know. She's remembering little things are coming back to her.
Don't make me cry.
I know. It's so sweet.
That's so sweet. And the village that you have is amazing. I'm so glad that you have that.
Thank you. I'm so blessed that I have it too. So it's definitely helpful.
And you know what though, for those that don't have a village, it almost like, I don't know. I like to be challenged, right? I've always been like one of those people that's like, challenge me. Because I feel like I'll become better, right?
Of course.
And not having a village, while it is very stressful, while it is very tolling on our relationship, while it is very like difficult, right? It definitely has made me the mom that I am. Along with my own parenting, like my own family and my own upbringing, I used to think like, no way I'd ever be a mom. Never. Because I was like, oh God, no. That's what this is? I'm not doing that. But now I'm like, I learn what I'm not doing and I learn what I am gonna do. And I think that everything that happens in your journey of motherhood and parenthood is perfectly imperfect for you.
100% agree with that. And like something that I've been telling moms, I was on a mom walk this morning and I'm just like, isn't it crazy how we can just do it all, even though we haven't slept, most likely haven't ate, and I will have my lunch for dinner because I don't get to eat lunch. And it's like all these different things that we're going through while most of us either working from home or having certain projects going on, cleaning the house, just dealing with scheduling a photo shoot for your family for the holidays, just even if it's a little bit things like that. But we get it done. And it's just so amazing seeing that women and mothers, we have that, like something clicks and you just do it. Even though, like you said, if you don't have a village, which of course I had an amazing village, but also it's not like they're here 24/7, so just going through it is a learning curve. And I think it's so important for humanity in general to evolve. Like I feel I'm a way better person than I used to be, even though I still have rage and I can be a bitch sometimes, but I still think I am a better person. I really do think I'm a better person.
Good. And hey, those things happen, girl. We're putting up with a lot. I told you that never-ending list in our brain does not turn off. And a lot of times, I'm not saying this to be sexist, but men have a different burden. Men have a different thought in their head. They have the stress of finances, the stress of making sure that they're going to be okay with, taking care of you, the stress that you're not happy, the stress that this is okay, like is she upset? Like there's a lot of different things that they go through that we're like, no, that's not important, because we're just so inside of ourselves that when we're able to remove that and we're able to let go of the resentment and let go of the thoughts of like how I need to be heard because I'm going through a lot more, when we are really able to say, okay, pause, we're both going through different things. I can't say mine is more or less than yours. Then we meet in the middle, right? And then that's where you can kind of overcome some stuff with your partner. Now, as far as women go, we are bosses.
Yeah.
Like I never even knew the potential I had until I became a mom. Never. I knew there was like a potential, but that shit was unlocked Nat 2.0 the moment I had my son.
Yep.
And that is the thing that other moms can see in one another, and that's why the mommy communities are so massive.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring seeing each other. Just like, I'm like, okay, she's doing all this, that's amazing. Like, who am I to say I can't do an extra something, Like, yeah, I'm gonna take it on. I'm gonna try it. If I can't, I can't. But it's so important, you're right. That kind of like brings us together. And having that mom community and being able to literally share these things. Because most of the time I feel, things are not talked about because they want to keep it private, or you don't want to be judged, or, whatever. You think it's only going on in your life. Little do we know, this is literally happening to every other mom, if not every mom. And sharing these things, sometimes just instead of bringing shame to you, it enlightens you and you just feel like, okay, so you're going through it too? That makes me feel so much better. Not in a bad way, but okay, I'm not,
alone.
doing exactly. I'm not alone. I feel seen. I feel heard, even though my partner is great, but I just don't always feel that way. Rather than when I speak to a mom about it, I just feel I'm more heard and seen and felt at that moment. And what I want to just jump back to what you were saying about, talking about, it's not that you're doing more or he's doing less, and you gonna get into like this equality. I'm there for sure. I just feel like sometimes I do way more. And I'm saying this right now. I feel like I'm doing way more. And then of course I put myself in like the masculine, the man shoes, like I get it. They're also going through it and they have different ways of doing 5 things at the same time, you know. A man is not like a woman at the end of the day. We are able to, and we're capable to do so many different things all at once where they can't. But sometimes I just feel my days are flying by and my flight or fright is just keep going, and I'm so on like autopilot that if something is bothering me, it's so hard for me to just let me rewind and let's talk about it for a second. Like at that moment, that's what I'm working on right now. It's so hard for me to just sit down and have this conversation, because either at that moment it's going to come out like I'm nagging, or I'm just going to eat it up and say, you know what, let's just enjoy this moment. But it's not good, because then I just have a whole lot and then it's just like a big explosion.
Yeah, no, I hear you, because I have gone and still go through that. And that is a relationship. That means you're doing something right in your relationship, or you're feeling the love. If you didn't love him or care, then hey, that would just be like, oh God, get over it by moving on, right?
Of course.
But I will say one last thing. I know we keep going. Okay. There's something that I learned called, well, it was like this forum that I did. It was a 3-day forum where I learned a lot of different things. I'm all about like self-development.
Yeah.
And for a really long time, I felt like anytime I would voice my opinions or voice my concerns or thoughts, I would be nagging, I was annoying, or I cared too much about things that don't matter at that moment, or me taking or him taking the trash out or not was like, why is that such a big deal? How he wouldn't put certain things where I want them. Why is that such a big deal? And I would say, you're not respecting what I'm asking. All I ask for you to do is take the trash out every morning when you leave, or wash the dishes, or don't leave the dishes in the sink. Just wash them right off and put them, like little things that I would make what I call rackets. They're rackets. I would be so upset that that wasn't done. So let me give you, again, paint a picture. I'd be in the kitchen and notice that, Mo left rice all over, or like didn't clean up after himself. In my head, I'd be like, what the fuck? He doesn't fucking care. I have to now clean this. I have to do another thing, on top of my 30 things on my list. Why can't you just learn? I always ask you for the same thing. This is what I'm doing, making myself upset, creating this negative space in my mind and in my kitchen. Now Mo walks in and guess what? I'm resentful. I'm not happy. I'm like, ugh, get off me. Don't touch me. He could go and try and hug me and I'd be like, don't touch me. I don't want you to touch me. I literally can't even fathom that you just did that. You know how upset I get when you do that. Now I'm upset. Now Edrius sees us. Edrius walks in, and now guess what? The entire kitchen is polluted with negativity, toxic. Mo was rejected. Now he's upset. Now I'm upset. Now our son is in that. And that is something that I do not want.
Yeah.
So I started saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. Instead of complaining that when Mo doesn't take the trash out, I'm just going to say, in my notes, mother effer, why did you not take the trash out? Let it go. Take the trash out, put it in the thing, refill the bag, move on. Not allow it to mess me up. Because why?
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's a trash bag. It doesn't need to ruin the entire mood of the day. And now the whole day is like, man, you should have done it. Man, you're texting back and forth.
Yeah.
You're in your day. He's in his day. And now everything is messed up just because I didn't want him to forget to take the trash out. So now I'm not saying that every case will be the same, because there's certain things that do need to be addressed, right? A simple thing like the trash shouldn't be it. Because then that's when we become the naggers. Yeah. When we're constantly calling out the stupid little things that really don't mean that big of a deal in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a little stupid maybe to us, or maybe to them, but it's a big deal to us at the end of the day. So I do understand your frustration in that. And, again, I would feel like communication is important, and just, I don't know, feeling like holding yourself accountable. I think that's another thing I think needs to come from your partner as well, honestly.
100%. Listen, it's
both of us.
It's both of you. And all I'm saying is, and it's not, I just got into an argument today. It's not going to happen all the time. You're not going to be able to control all the time, because there's certain things are going to add up. Maybe one time you let it go, maybe 2 times you let it go, or maybe you're like, whatever, it's not a big deal. But at a certain point, what ends up happening with Mo is when I didn't address it, a couple hours later, I get a text, hey, I'm so sorry, I ran out of the house and I forgot to take the trash out. And that moment that he texts you that, you feel so glad that you didn't send that pissed off message.
Yeah.
Right? So if they're acknowledging that they didn't do something wrong, or that they didn't do something that you wanted them to do, that makes me feel like, okay, You acknowledged it. Thank you for doing that. Because now I don't feel like I have to reprimand you like I'm your mom, you know? But it's also the other way around. Sometimes I'm like, dude, like at this point, if you can't put your laundry away after I wash it and fold it for you, I'm not your mom. So it's going to sit there and pile up until you put it away. That's it. That's draw the line.
And you know, it's so funny because that's literally actually me. So Nick will fold the laundry and I sometimes I don't have the energy to put it back. I hate putting laundry back into the closet or hang it up. And so it'll be just there. And then if he's like, dude, why don't you I'm like, do you know how busy I was? And like, I just start getting all, rattled up. But like, yeah, I could have just put that away. But I just like didn't feel like doing it. I look at it, I'm like, no.
Now that's why, like.
So I get it.
Yeah, it's a flip. It goes around. And that's what relationships are, you know? And then you throw a baby in the mix and you're like, well, let's just try not to kill each other today.
So we have a new tradition on the podcast, and we asked a previous mom to ask the next mom a question for advice. So she asked, how do you stay present while you know that there's so many house chores to do, but you don't want to just think about doing those? You want to stay present with your child. She has twins, even crazier. So what do you do? Because I know that you are so present with Edrias. So how do you not hyper concentrate on everything else around the house?
Well, two-parter. One, I'm working on those rackets I talked about, right? I'm working on not allowing things like that to affect me because I don't want it to bleed into the energy of the house, right? I'm a big energy person. That's one. But two, I clean as I go. And I taught Edrias to clean as he goes. If we're doing one activity and that's all over the place, he knows that if we're moving on to the next one, that has to be put away. We need to make more room for the activity. That's what we say. And then if there's like dishes that need to be washed, I'll like say, hey babe, why don't you go color? I'm gonna go wash the dishes, or help me wash the dishes. So we clean as we go so that there's not a lot of mess anywhere. And I try to, every time before I go to bed, I know it's like the 1% battery left in me, but I try to at least pick up as much as I could. And then I do share the responsibilities with my fiance, say, hey, take the trash out. If there's any dishes, wash them. Like I just try to always reset the night before and then clean as I go, and that will eliminate a lot of the clutter, a lot of the mess, a lot of the clutter in your brain, and it really helps.
And you start your day nicely. So what would be a question for the next mom?
Advice?
Yeah.
I would like to ask the mommy on your next episode, if she's already potty trained, what did she do? And how did it work for her?
That's a good one, because I'm so scared of that.
Same, sis. My son is 3.
But you're starting it, like, coming up.
I think next week.
Okay.
So I'll follow back up with you on how that goes.
Please let me know how that goes.
I'm terrified, but it should be fun, just a lot of laundry to do.
I think it's a lot of laundry and just literally being on top. Like, you have to be able to surrender to everything else that's going on in your life and just be with him 24/7 and know his cues and everything.
Yep. We're doing it. We got no choice because I'm tired of paying for diapers.
Sending you all the luck.
Thanks.
I think you got this. And thank you for being here and sharing so much wisdom and advice.
Oh, I love that you called it wisdom.
Being so real and making me feel normal.
I got you, girl. Anytime. I'm a phone call away.
Thank you so much for joining me today and being part of this conversation. If you found this episode helpful or inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Your support truly helps other mamas find us. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and become part of our village so you never miss a new episode. We're all in this together. Until next time, mamas, take care and bye for now.